Hi everybody, welcome to Season 6, Episode 5 of The Hard Truth Inside the Football Industry Podcast with me, Philip Ideson, and Darragh MacAnthony, the chairman and owner of Peterborough United. And we had the Hard Truth Derby this weekend.
The Hard Truth Derby, baby. It's like a bit of a dim squid, really, or two. What's it called? Dim squid?
So yeah, damn squid.
I mean? Yeah, damn squid. There you go. Yeah. 1-1, you know what I mean? So I was wanting more goals, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, obviously we didn't see each other a lot on the day. You know, it's, you traveled down. Obviously, I've got fucking, my offices are like Piccadilly Circus whenever I get to the ground. So it's like non-stop. But yeah, instead of saying, how did the Panthers do? What are your thoughts on the game? I've seen your thoughts on Twitter. You become very vocal now that Bradford are doing well again. You know, you're doing a lot more talking on Twitter. Come on, give me the juice. What are your thoughts?
Well, I got stick from Bradford fans, my opinion. I got stick from Posh fans, my opinion. So I guess maybe there was something in there. I mean, I thought that I was disappointed to draw 1-1 and I was disappointed because when you 1-0 up in the 90th minute, you always want to come away with a win. I think that 1-1 was probably fair on the balance of the game. I thought it was a game of relatively low quality. I was surprised about how many changes we made coming into it. I think we made 5 changes coming in. So even kind of going in, I thought, that's not the strongest team that we've got. And I was a bit disappointed with that, to be honest.
Why do you think you made those changes?
I think because we've got Stoke on Tuesday, because it's been a pretty intense few games, and they really have thrown 110% in at everything. What he said is he learned last year that, all the players started breaking down a couple of months into the season. And he's afraid of the same thing happening again. So kind of is intentionally going with rotation.
So you don't think, you're not buying into my idea that he went bigger to try and bully us out of the game because of our previous set piece issues? And
I think about who did he replace? He didn't. There's only really Poynton, who I'd say is small, that he replaced. With somebody that's bigger than him. I mean, that maybe that motivated the number of changes or the actual changes that he made. But it's not like the last couple of games. We've been bullying teams the last couple of games with the other team. So I don't think he was trying to be even stronger against you.
Okay.
I did think that you were vulnerable, to being... There were a couple of incidents during the game where I saw us really getting into a couple of your players, and the response of your players was... to kind of, I didn't like that, and to complain about it rather than give it back. So that's probably something that I know that, you're aware of, that you try to address at the moment. But you could see, where some of that vulnerability was.
Sure. Absolutely.
But, you made your subs, and when you make so many subs, so you made 4 subs at the same time. When that happens, it's either becomes disjointed or it gives you something different, and it gave you something different. That was obviously the turning point for you, is when you started bringing the subs on and you started to control the game a bit more.
It's good to have a squad where you can make changes and impact games. That's the idea of a stronger squad. So it was nice. But yeah, what else? Before I jump in with my bit on you.
I think that we probably had more chances. We probably could have taken chances better than what we did do. But again, I go back to relatively low quality game. There was no one that I would say deserved to win on the balance of play. On the stats are all in your favor except for shots off target. So the last few minutes after you equalized into injury time, I'm sat there, with 2 or 3 minutes on the clock thinking, I hope the ref blows up pretty soon, because once you scored and went into injury time, there was really, and because we'd made the subs we did, so we made the subs to go defensive, and then a minute after we made those subs to go defensive, you go and score. And you think,
9 minutes left.
Yeah, there's no outlet now. So now it's just backs against the wall. And so in the end, I was happy that we came out of that last 9 minutes unscathed.
Yeah.
What do you think?
What do I think? I thought we'd win the game. I thought when we scored in the 90th minute, I thought it was only going to be one team that wins. I know what you're saying about lack of quality. I thought some of our football at times was very good. There was one passage of play in the first half where Gustav should score, where I think it's Brandon, Lawless, Gustav, one-touch football. And 9 times out of 10, if Gustav's already scored this season, he takes 1 touch and scores. Instead, he takes 2 touches and scores. Brad did the same in the 93rd minute.
Yeah, you could see there was a lack of confidence in some of the...
Beautiful bit of play. Brad's put in one touch, left foot, score.
Yeah.
And instead he takes 3 touches. And that's where we are at the moment, say, with our strikers, where because they haven't scored, they're taking multiple touches when they don't need to. We're opening up. Sorry, carry on.
No, there was a few instances when you're driving through midfield, and rather than driving to the penalty spot and going into the box, you kind of stopped and went wide. And so it's kind of abdicate yourself from responsibility and pass that responsibility to somebody else.
I thought, forget about what happened in the offensive third, even though that's where you win games. I thought some of the patterns of our play was exactly the way we want to play. Our left winger had 14 opportunities to put balls in or shoot. None of that happened. Lisby had 3 and he put 1 in where Odo should have scored. It went back to Odo the other side, and Odo again took 3 touches instead of 1 and shoot. If we'd won a couple of games early in the season, we win that game comfortably. And I don't want to sound arrogant or whatever else. I do. I think the circumstances surrounding you started well, we haven't started well, and then you score that goal, and then everyone's just thinking the same thing, because it's basically the last few games have been kind of rinse and repeat. Play really well to a point, don't deserve to lose the game, maybe don't deserve to win the game, and then we get mugged.
Yeah, give a goal away, basically.
Right, exactly. You're searching. I thought we handled the physical stuff pretty well. I thought Nevitt was very good again.
Yeah,
everyone out there who's killed
I thought he was fine.
Everyone forgets he's 19.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people want to write him off. We bought him on a 5-year project. He's 19. He's got all the attributes, do you know what I mean, to be a proper player. I thought David, people will go on about David with his passing, his this, that. Him and JD had a bit of a nightmare at times, but David on set pieces, again, very good. Did all the ugly stuff right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think either goalie had a lot to do.
No. But they did what they needed to with no...
They did what they needed to do. I thought our midfield controlled the game. But I thought our subs were a level above when they came on. I thought, Declan showed why we chased him for 2 windows, and when he gets fully fit, I think he will take League One the way we want him to. Keane is a great sub. When Keane's like that as a sub, he's almost at times unplayable. The New Zealand boy, anyone watching that, if they don't think he's a hell of a player to be playing in League One, the size of him and everything else, very, very good. Brad was Brad. So I was frustrated not to win the game. I was happy that we gave what I loved about it was our fans were fucking brilliant at the end in particular. I know like Bradford fans are having a go at how quiet it is, but when a team hasn't won for 5 games.
Right. It's hard to get behind it. When you concede the goal that you did, which is a carbon copy of some of the goals you've conceded, it's easy to turn on your players.
And they didn't. And I love that. My fans have been like, we've been not good for a while, and our fans have just stayed with us. Forget about the online trolling or whatever else. Our fans, I love the atmosphere from the 85th minute onwards, because it was like, we're having a go, we're attacking, we want it, Declan put in a couple of crosses, as did Harley, that we should have scored from.
No one there.
Bradford score from those crosses. Those crosses go in. Bradford's size and physicality, they score.
They were on a plate, weren't they? For somebody.
They were on a plate. Like Harley's one was on a plate, Declan's one was on a plate, and it's that lack of confidence, meeting the ball in the box, bang, score. If we'd won 2 or 3 games in a row, we score from both the crosses. So it's just putting those things together. I also went into the game, and I said to you before, like, we have 6 to 7 players that haven't even started for us yet, to come in. They're going to have a big impact on our season. So you get out. I mean, I was very angry during the game, very animated about, simple stuff that, we could do better, simple stuff that you're thinking, right, we're in, let's score, those kind of, I was just getting agitated with a lot of stuff. Then you get another official, our second official in 3 home games that's gone down with some fitness issue on the side. How does that happen?
I know.
Twice in 3 games.
6 minutes or so it was. And I was looking at that thinking that's good for us, because you were starting to get momentum.
And that's why I was getting angry. I was getting angry. Like, we scored right after, I think.
Yeah, as it turned out, it didn't really stop your momentum. But at the time, I thought, okay, I'm happy with this break. Yeah,
exactly. And I just, I thought, there were a lot of good things I liked. There were a lot of things I was just like, there's so much improvement in us. Do you know what I mean? I know you said lack of quality. If you look at the game overall, you're probably right, because I just said to you, like, one of our wingers had 13 opportunities to go down that side. But when they've got that many, that tells you how good we were in midfield to create the space one-on-one for our win. When I say 13 opportunities, that means one-on-one with a fullback, not one against two, not two against one. You know, to go in, drive, cross, shoot. A lot of our shots were fur coat, no knickers, powder puff, you know, straight at the goalie. But we were in that position to take those shots. I love Brandon. I was devastated for him when he made the mistake. I have no problem with the mistake he made. You know, I would say to Brandon, if you're 3-0 up, you do what you did.
Yeah.
When you're in a game that's still there in the heat of the battle and the form we're in, you probably lay it out left to the defender. I was happy to see his teammates go over and help him. I think that will make him an even better player. The fact it was against Bradford probably was devastating for him.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But our fans were very good to him, and even after the game, they were very good to him, which is nice to see. The real frustration is not having, you know, if you pick a fully fit squad, having the best players out there. And you're always going to miss one or two players, but we're talking about missing 4 or 5 really good players, you know, out there. So, yeah, I'm very optimistic about what's to come. You know, I didn't expect anything else. I'd studied a lot before the game. I knew what to expect from Bradford. You guys are resilient motherfuckers. You know, you've got a real camaraderie, a real togetherness, a really good manager. I understood why you made the changes, and I agree. It's not really about the size. I think you know, you're playing a lot of games in a short space of time. The way you play, you want a lot from your players, a lot of running, a lot of pressing. You know what I mean? You can't just keep flogging a dead horse. I was kind of happy Poynton didn't play. You know, he's like the one player. Like, you know, I'm not going to lie, there was a sneaky look there during the summer, and then it was like, you know, signed a new deal, back off. And I don't want headlines out there saying I inquired him out. I didn't. It was just a sneaky little.
We've always talked about him in his development.
We've always spoke about him. You know what I mean? I get why Graham brought on. You know, you're in the 90th minute, kill the game. Professional manager. Yeah. You know, I'm not Maverick who'd be like, fuck it, bring on 2 more strikers and let's go for it. Right. But I'm not a manager. I was with our gaffer in the office afterwards, and he came in, so I managed to, you know, congratulate him on a great start of the season. Lovely guy. Wish him all the best. And then I got the fuck out of there, because when managers are together, you want no part of that. That's their little thing, you know what I mean? To talk shop and stuff like that. So I kind of like, whoop, off I go. But yeah, I was happy for our crowd to give them something. I don't like celebrating draws. I certainly don't like feeling warm and fuzzy about draws. But just the horror start we've had, you're just like, okay, we need something. We've come back from the dead. And the signs are there. And I see, you know, when I see Declan and I see Garbutt and I see some of the things, and Lawless will be a good player. He just needs games. He's so on. So many of these players we've signed haven't had any preseason. And that, of course, you can blame us for that as well. You know, well, you've left it late, you've whatever. Circumstances are circumstances. You know, Ben Woods is still to come in. You know, and again, another player that's the kind of game Ben Woods would love on Saturday. You know, when you think of the type of player he is. I was delighted to see Harley. Harley's not the best start to the season, but he looked like Harley again late in the game, where it was a swashbuckling down the left, him and Declan, you know, getting the ball over. What I loved was Declan was signed as a right-sided winger, and he looked fucking good on the left side. It looked pretty decent over there, you know. So we just need to crack the code with our strikers. I think we need to get everyone fit. We've got a full week. That's why I'm late coming on. I had a 20-minute call with a manager. You know, PK's come in today. I think the players were a bit stunned at how physical he is in training, and that's the standard you want to set. Yeah. So we're excited about that. I feel we're building a really strong squad, you know, and we have them all fit. I think the manager will really be spoiled for choice. Of course, everyone wants a striker. You know, our fans want a striker. I want a striker, you know, whatever. But, you know, 9s aren't out there available. I said this the other day on Sky when I was on. People are harvesting number 9s higher up. And what I mean harvesting is they're buying strikers they normally wouldn't buy, and they're keeping them to loan out and make money. And they won't sell them. They just want to loan them out. And there's less and less 9s left, because the amount of wingers that have come into the game that used to be strikers that are now playing out wide, and finding that je ne sais quoi striker. And there's nobody better at finding strikers, you know, like us as a club and what we do. And I still feel Gustav and Brad were bought with the right tangibles, and it's on those 2 players to crack the code. I watched the game back yesterday, and I know the manager did a thing today with clips and stuff. Gustav was in 4 times behind your back 4. 4 fucking times. Like, we can all have a go at Gustav and whatever else. He's playing against big centre halves. He's on his own. He went in behind 4 times that a team that's flying feeds him. Even if you fed him 1-2 of those, he scores, and he's making those runs. You know, Brad, you know, obviously has had a couple of okay games, but he came on, he tried, you know what I mean, and now he has to respond in training now. So we have strikers. I've just watched our under-21s beat Bournemouth away. We're unbeaten in the 21s, and we played the youngest 21 team we've ever played because, you know, lots of the 18s were kept for tomorrow against Arsenal. A lot of the first team that would have played didn't go. We even had 3 trialists. I counted the Bournemouth team. It was a very expensive assembled 21s team. We won that 1-0. And, you know, David Kamara, who's our striker, you know, I'm not, relaxed Posh fans, I'm not saying he's going on the first team. He's been out for 4 months with a ripped hamstring, and he just came off the bench. And my God almighty, he's built like Didier Drogba. I don't know what, he's obviously grown up over the summer. I mean, the Bournemouth back 3 couldn't handle him. It was quite nice to see. So we're going to try and do business on the striker. We would have liked to have done something on the left wing, but that, you know, doesn't look possible no matter what. We could offer like X amount, it still wouldn't matter. And again, I'm not going to go sign players that aren't there or won't make a difference to the squad. You know, we get to the end of the window. I'd like to add 1 or 2. If we don't, we buckle down. We have a lot of talent now in that squad. We've got to get everyone fit. And most importantly, we have to fucking start winning. Because I am convinced we start winning, we're going to win a lot of games.
You got to build on. So, you know, that was getting the late equaliser, the change when the subs came on. That's an opportunity to change the narrative, but you got to go to Exeter and win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. We have to go there and win. You're right. And it's not an easy place to go and win. We have to go and win. And we have to follow that up, and we have to win. We have to now start winning regularly, and we have to start giving everyone that hope what they're seeing is working. So there's no point in, you know, you get back in a game against Bradford, you have a right go to win it. You now have to follow it up and actually win a game of football. We win a game of football, we lift off. What we can't do is go shit the bed. We have to settle down now.
And this was for nothing. You know, you lose that momentum again.
Yeah, correct. We've got a week's training now. We've got players who are going to be fitter. You know what I mean? Garbutt's going to be another week of training. Lawless is going to be another week of training. PK is going to have a week of training until he's fit. Who else? Some of the players that we haven't seen yet. You know, Tom Lees is nearly ready. You know, all those things. Bass is back, I think, the first week of September. You know, we had, you know, Declan who'd had a knock and wasn't fit to start. We should be able to fit to start. All those things have to now fall into place. You know what I mean? And I am excited. You know, but obviously when you're not winning games of football, it's kind of like a false thing, isn't it? You know what I mean? And,
isn't it funny? Like, there's only one metric in football.
Winning.
For most, and it doesn't matter what else is going on and how, you know, that's how success or failure is measured. And so, you know, until you start doing that, you can't truly.
No.
You know, you can feel you're going in the right direction, but for the feel good factor around the club, you just need to get some points in the board.
It's a good way of putting it. You know, you're spot on what you say, and I think, you know, the players, there's a good leadership group now, and there's the experience of Tom Lees, you know, Garbutt, PK's come in, a hell of a leader. You're hoping now, you know, that they lift these young players to a level, you know, where they need to go, you know what I mean? And we forget, you know, I said this to the gaffer on Friday, like, we have young players, they make a mistake, they whatever, you know, we're too harsh, you know, we're bombing them out, we're doing this, we're doing, like, we have to remember, you know, what we are. You know, and a 19 to a 21-year-old, or Harley or JD or whatever else, we have to understand what goes through their head. You know, JD didn't have his greatest game on Saturday. Probably something has to do with seeing PK coming back. So he's now, he's like, oh, I played well on Tuesday. Right, but I want JD to go, well, actually, I'm staying in the team. I don't care if he's coming. You know, I'm playing so well. But we forget he's just turned 20. You know, he's an amazing young talent, you know. Harley responded brilliantly because he's had, you know, an average start to the season like a lot of us have. But he bounced back like we want to see him, because his quality, we all know, is what he can do going forward. And that wasn't even there the first 4 or 5 games. But there's a good young player in there. And it's just that patience, like Brandon. Brandon's finding his way in. Has he started like he wanted to, like, you know, the preseason? No, but there's an amazing young player in there. And he's going to come into his own. And part of me wanted him to put one in the top bin on Saturday after he made the mistake. You know what I mean? But you know, because he's got so many tangibles and he's a brilliant character as well. So I almost wanted to go down and give him a hug, you know what I mean, when that mistake happened, you know. But it is what it is. Shit happens in football. And you can't apologize for trying to play the way you're asked to play, you know, and you're going to learn those little intricacies that, you know, 3-0 up, it's okay to make the mistake. 0-0, tight game, haven't won for 5. You do the easy thing, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, so that's kind of, that's us, you know what I mean? I'm still very optimistic.
You've done a bunch more prep, obviously. I know us going up to the game. You saw us play on Saturday.
Yeah.
What's your kind of feeling on us and where we kind of fit in League One and kind of chances for the season?
Yeah, comfortable, very good League One side, very experienced, full of players who played in League One, a certain style, a very gritty, determined manager. Wouldn't shock me at all. You're up there, you know, at the end of the season. I think if you're thereabouts in February, March, because of your experience of last season, I think you'll be in a very good spot, you know, going in. I'll be honest with you, Phil, I can't, bar Huddersfield, I could never say, and I know Cardiff have started really well, you know, and a special shout out to Stephen, who's just started well. Stockport an amazing, you know, come from behind, and Mansfield are shocking everyone. I think League One is very much of a muchness. I'm looking at it. I know people want to tell me where we are on the table and all of that, but I just look at the league and I'm like, first thing I said on Saturday was, right, we're 12 points off the top. I know that sounds mad, but I'll always think like that. You've got nothing to worry about whatsoever. I don't know your squad well enough as regards to what you think you're worrying about. You know, you very, very confident, comfortable League One team. You played on our insecurities on Saturday. You know what I mean? Like, because we hadn't won and whatever else. And your game plan was very stout and very good. You know, and you had some good chances on the break and whatever else. Yes, we dominated possession. We all know we
went into it knowing that you would do in the first place.
You knew that 100%. That's who we are. Very rarely do we get beaten on the possession statistics. So that didn't shock me. And you had some bloody good chances on the counter. You just the final ball or the whatever else. You know, even on the stroke at half time, I think you're right when you put one across goal. You know, and you know, another day that goes in, and again, it's disarray at Peterborough, you know, and you know, whatever else. So, but I wouldn't be sitting there if I were you going, oh my God, you know, you're a big club in League One.
I think more than that, we're trying not to get carried away, you know, because it's been a stronger start than we expected.
I'm sure Mansfield fans aren't getting carried away. I'm sure Stevenage fans don't want to get carried away. It's okay to get carried away.
Yeah.
It's okay to be excited.
We're enjoying it. We're enjoying football again, you know.
It's okay to be like, yeah, we started really well. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I hate when people say, oh, calm down, don't get carried away. I get carried away. Like, it's okay to be like that. I get the manager's not going to get carried away, and I get the players and so, and you were giving me this bullshit before the game and the day before about playing it down and all that fucking nonsense. But it's okay.
That's just my nature. That's my empty nature here.
Yeah. And I fucking said to you, if I see that glib look in your face, you'll have a broken jaw at full fucking time. You know, it's like, you know, but it's fine to be excited about your football team. Yeah. So you know, you got amazing supporters. You know, they were there in numbers on Saturday. You know, give that chicken thing a rest afterwards on social media. We're all good. But, you know, I look forward to part 2 of the Derby game, you know, when we go to your place. So, you know, it'll be interesting.
And I know I always mention it on here, but I just want to shout out as well everyone that I met, bumped into. I spoke to a ton of people on Saturday, you know, whether it was Justin in the shop, to Dell, you know, in the fan zone, to walking through the club and everyone through the club. Just we always get such a you know, a nice family kind of welcome, and it's, you know, it means a lot. And I think that for my own safety, 1-1 was probably the safest result.
What did you think of the Megastore?
It's, you know, like 5 times better than ours. It's, you know, I went in there last year, Easter. I went in there at Easter. And you know, that's one area where we struggle. And most clubs, you know, I think around our level do, is you just kind of have this pokey little area where you're cramming everything in and you're cramming everyone in on a match day, and you can't serve everybody and you can't put all the stuff on display. And
the team's done a really good job of the fan zone and the big TV.
Yeah.
And the
I love the fan zone bit. I love that. I was speaking with my family about it, you know, how you have players that come by the fan zone and, you know, come and have their photos taken and get their autographs done. And it just creates a great connection, I think, between the players.
Team are doing amazing, you know, off the pitch. You know, we're very fortunate, you know, and you know, the stuff on the pitch will sync up. You know, we've had a pretty average year 2025. You know, if you look at last season, start of this season, but you know, well, you tell me the truth from what you saw. You think better days ahead, or you think we're struggling?
No, I think that it was a turning point. I think you've got to make it into a turning point. I should say that, what I said before, because you could tell the different intensity when the subs came on. You know, frankly, you could see a difference in quality when the subs came on, and that's just the start. That's players who are not up to speed yet. You've not got a few of them still in waiting in reserves. I would imagine that you'll have no difficulties when you start to get a full strength team. And you just need a bit of you need to believe in yourselves, and maybe be a little stronger. You know, some of those players be a little bit stronger, and then maybe
they have to get more physical. Absolutely, you saw Garbutt when he came on; he's a fucking man mountain. You know, and you're right. We do. You know, they're young players, but it doesn't mean they can't be in the gym every day. They can't be fucking a bit more fucking sturdy and deal with that.
But how much of that's mindset too?
No, a lot of it's also age. A lot of it's age. You have to remember, like, you're looking at 19 to 21-year-olds who are acting like that. How many 19 to 21-year-olds are in your big team? Who you know? So let's go back a few years.
I mean, we're for 30-year-olds who have been there doing it.
Right. So I'm going to defend the 19 to 21-year-olds. You have to learn the dark arts of the game. You know, don't be a little bitch when you get knocked over. You know what I mean? Show a little bit about yourself, and I think you kind of grow into that. So you know, that's a little bit of that. You know, because I would say, you know, I'd say Nevis getting tougher than he was last year, where he got bullied last year. Now he's actually, you know, yes, he's not the quickest, but he's not getting bullied as much anymore. You know, David's quite physical. Brandon is actually quite physical. I saw him pre-season. He's, you know, I saw him go up against the Ipswich captain who left, who basically put in some big tackles on us in pre-season, and Brandon went head to head with him. And he's not, I think was it Morsey? He's not somebody you like mess with in there. You know, Archie's Archie. You know, he's never going to be like that.
Harsh yellow card, I thought, early on.
It so badly sets the tone. It wasn't, you know, and your player didn't even play up to it. Like, you know, fair play, they kind of bounced up, whatever. It wasn't as bad as, it was just a late tackle, but not a bad late tackle. It was like, you know, you're 15 minutes in the ref, and don't make your life difficult, because you're going to have to book everyone.
But then he doesn't. Then you become consistent. So you book one to say this is what the standard is, and then you don't carry that through for the rest of the game.
Just like, what are you doing? And then you look further in the pitch and you go, well, you know, the wingers have got to be a little bit tougher. You know, JD's 6'3", but he plays at times he's a bit smaller, and he's young, you know, and not realizing what a fucking unit he is. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I get your comment totally, but I do think, like, again, you know, that is age relevant, and knowing what younger people are like nowadays, that's world age relevant. You know what I mean? Until our coaches and people tough them up. I think that's why PK surprised a few of them today, because he was so intense in training, where he was kicking a few of them up in the air. And I think things like that are brilliant. Yeah. Like, you know, Sam Hughes is a bit like that, and he's not around. You know what I mean? Tom Lees. I think those three alone, Lees, Sam, PK, will toughen those younger boys up to make them a little bit like you're saying, not just, you know, what would the word be? Nicey nice, you know, when they get fouled and moaning to the ref and crying like babies. Do you know what I mean? So that'll come. That will come, you know. So, but it is what it is. So anyway, what next?
So we've got Stoke on Tuesday. That'll be before this comes out. So, I mean, Stoke have had a good start in the Championship.
Mark Robbins factor.
But, you know, no reason why we can't go there. We did it to Blackburn. You know, go there and do it again.
I would imagine the last thing Mark Robbins gives a fuck about is the Carabao Cup.
I imagine so too.
With a start he's had. I would imagine they will change all 11 players, which will give you a hell of a chance.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So yeah, you could go a bit deeper in there.
And then we've got Wimbledon on Saturday.
Started well.
Wimbledon have had a good start as well.
Brilliant start for them. Yeah, Johnny Jackson, the boys, they've started really well, and you guys are actually evenly matched. Like, very physical, very certain way. You know what I mean? So that'll be blood and thunder. Blood, guts, and thunder of a game, that will be. So I'd be amazed at the yellow card count at the end of that game. You know, when you play. Is that at your place?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be an interesting game. You know, to be fair, I was messaging with Ryan yesterday, so it's just, you know what I mean, like, because obviously I didn't speak to him during the game. Yeah. So I was saying to him, you know, you guys doing anything? You know, the window, are we doing anything? You know what I mean? So that was, he was talking about the cap space and whatever else.
Not a lot of cap space at all, I think, for us.
No, I think he was alluding to he'd like more, and I'm kind of he was like, oh, you don't feel the same, and I'm like, no, I think our income from TV deals is there, and wages have just risen, and I said if we don't put a proper cap on it, it's just the disparity is just going to be, you know what I mean? So I'm of the other way. I'm perfectly fine with how it is or improving it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just interesting. Yeah, little like run of text.
Yeah. Now, if we go into the Premier League, before the City Posh game, we had Spurs Man City on the big screens, and I didn't see the game in detail. Obviously, the result is a shock, but it doesn't sound like it was undeserved from Spurs.
City had a lot of chances, but Spurs were very resilient. They were a real Thomas Frank performance. I think everyone wants to slate Spurs, and everyone wants to go Levy and laugh at them when they don't get Eze and laugh at them like whatever. But I think all the people making those comments have forgotten one important thing, which I used to say years ago about Jurgen Klopp. When you've got a great manager, it can be the one difference, in everything. And I think he's a really, really good fucking manager, like really good. So didn't shock me. City created a lot of chances. And again, I've tipped them to be, silly to say, dark horses. Do you know what I mean? Because they're such a dominant force. But yeah, I think that was just one of them games where they could have played for 3 days and not scored. It happens to football teams.
Yeah. And it was great to see Jack Grealish yesterday for Everton, a couple of assists.
2 assists, Jackie boy.
Sounds a bit enjoying his football, which seems like, he struggled with the last couple of years. And,
good for Everton, getting that win at their new stadium, which is always nice. And again, I'd said on Sky, I thought Grealish was a really good signing for them. And, a fully motivated Jack Grealish in a World Cup year, that could be an incredible signing. So let's see.
As a Liverpool fan, what do you feel about Everton? Like, do you have that rivalry with them?
Yeah, I mean, when we played them, I hate them, and you don't want to lose the game. But as a club, I have a lot of respect for them. The traditions going back years, to the Howard Kendall days. Great new stadium. You want football teams to do well off the pitch. They've had a lot of crap the last few years. I think their fans deserve a break. As a Liverpool fan, I shouldn't say that maybe, but I do think their fans deserve a break. As long as that break is then behind us every time.
Right. You get the 3 points, and then you can.
So if we're first and they finish second, happy days for the city of Liverpool. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd said it last year when everyone was having a canary about, they're in trouble financially, and I was on Talk Sport, and I just said somebody will buy the club. It's a magnificent purchase, it's a cheap purchase, and they're going to have a new stadium. So I don't know why everyone's getting their knickers in a twist. And I was the only one at the time saying, just like, come at that, it's going to be fine. And lo and behold, someone bought them. And, they're buying, I think, Dibley from Southampton. Or the signings that Everton will be back. Yeah. So will they be back top 4 right now? No, but Moyes knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
so
they're on the upswing.
Correct. They've had a lot of years of shoveling shit, dealing with a lot of crap. They're going to be back. And that's just going to happen.
And we've got the Isak derby tonight as well. So Newcastle, Liverpool. I mean, do you think there's going to be some extra needle there?
Oh, yeah.
Good St. James's?
That's going to be a 4-3. It's like the way Liverpool have defended at the start of the season. That's a 4-3. I'm more worried about Liverpool not having a right back, potentially playing like a midfielder there. The Isak thing, I think tomorrow we'll know one way or another if that's happening. And if that deal's not done in the next 48 hours, I would say it's not going to happen. So I've spoke very fondly about Eddie Howe, about the job he's done, and about if I were Newcastle, I'd be buying Jackson from Chelsea and another striker and spend that money and then sell him. But that's me. I'm not the manager.
Do Liverpool need to move on as well, or is this a nice to have?
No. Liverpool need attackers. Like, as well as needing maybe another centre back or whatever else, they need attackers. Like, they lost Diaz, they lost Nunez, God bless, they lost Jota. They've signed one player as a 9. I know they've got other options out wide, and he's talking about maybe Wirtz can play up there, but like, no, we need another player, whether it's Isak, another player, we need another forward. So Liverpool are going to play 60, 65 games in this season. Salah's off to the African Nations Cup. Gakpo gets injured. We need some forwards. I know we've got some 16 and 17-year-olds that are super talented, but you're not winning the title back or the Champions League. That's just my opinion. So we do need a little bit of help in those areas.
And the last one was West Ham. Was that Friday? I remember I did see that game. West Ham Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea took them to the cleaners, and
Chelsea will take a lot of teams to the cleaners.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure there's partly yes, Chelsea were that good. It wasn't all West Ham
no
going over.
I mean, Cole Palmer goes down injured before the game. His replacement, unbelievable. Like, I'm telling you now. I said it again last year at Chelsea. I predicted they'd be top 4, they'd win a trophy. They did. And I'm now predicting. Looking at Chelsea, they signed maybe a centre-back, because of the injuries and whatever else. I'm not sure they need all these wingers and central midfielders that they've been linked with. But I'm telling you, they're dangerous. They will spank a lot of teams. They'll be bully boys against some teams. It'll be interesting to see if they crack the code against the bigger teams. No disrespect to anyone they beat. They beat Liverpool, they beat an Arsenal, they beat a Man City. Yeah, Chelsea, that's the real dark horse this season, not for Champions League. I mean dark horse because they've got it all. And their owner's plan is coming to fruition with the harvesting of players, where I'm seeing players that have never played from get sold for double the money. That's exactly how you get all your finances in order. So I always said I didn't disagree with that plan. I'd like to do it at Peterborough. Some of our recent transfer activity, they might say that I'm doing that, but I'd like to do the same. So, no, Chelsea were very good. West Ham, yeah, I know everyone's saying, they're going down and whatever else, but even with the players they've still got, I think they're far too good to be in a relegation battle.
I just want to go into the Championship and give mention, of course, to Coventry. For 2 reasons, actually. First of all, buying the stadium.
I think which is their owner yesterday.
Yeah, more important than the 7-1 win was buying the stadium back. Or not even back, buying it for the first time, wasn't it?
I messaged Doug. I was saying, geez, they're going to put you in the Hall of Fame at EFL already. I've been hanging around for 20 years. But, great owner, lovely guy. To be fair to him, he came back and he was like, you've had a tough start, but you'll do great. That was nice to hear. You know what I mean? So, what a job he's done there. I mean, I will always look on, never with jealousy, only with envy of people who do well, and me wanting to do the same. And everything he's done there has been pitch perfect. And Lampard's got them. I mean, I love the score lines. Like they're my kind of score lines.
Yes,
I mean,
attack.
Yeah, attack. I can see a couple of goals, score enough goals. I love that. And Coventry fans, I said just previously about Everton fans, Coventry fans have had some shit to deal with over the years. With the amount of times they were displaced from their stadium and traveling to Northampton, traveling to Birmingham, obviously stadium. Like, there has to be a documentary about that club going to League Two under Robbins, and coming from the doldrums, being in League Two, win the EFL trophy, playing at Northampton. We played them at Northampton. There has to be like a documentary of the comeback. The minute they get to the Premier League, that is the next proper documentary. Not all the other ones. That's going to be a really interesting one, really, the way they found their way back. You know what I mean? Because they have found their way back. Yeah. And, good for their fans, good for their owner, good for their manager, good for their team. And I've got £1 million reason want them to go up.
Yeah. So long may they keep getting their 7-1 wins this season.
I just need Sheffield United to get their finger out. You know what I mean? So then I can have double bubble. I don't know what's going on there.
I was just looking at the table, and while of course tables mean nothing at the moment, 3 losses, 3 games. So
I don't know
what's been the best start to the season.
No, it hasn't. Did I hear Phil Parkinson was getting some grief off fans on Saturday in that game? Is that real? Did I hear that for real?
I don't know if I haven't heard that, but I mean,
that's true. If that's true, I mean, come on. I mean, if any manager should be able to buy 5 months, 6 months, a season's grace, it should be him. Like, I get it. Yes, he's had money to spend. Yes, they've done this, and it's Wrexham and whatever else. But come on. Because I've seen enough managers with loads of money to spend who've got it wrong. This guy's won 3 promotions back to back. And he's suddenly being gifted the chance to sign players of a different ilk. And it's going to take time. And I know they were 2-0 up. And I know, they lost 2 goals. But, I mean, my goodness, come on. Like, let's calm down. If I read that right, or hopefully I got it wrong, but I read that he was getting a bit of grief for like.
I mean, I saw grumblings of, they've got all this money to spend. Have they spent it in the wrong areas? I mean, the Championship is a completely different proposition than anything that they've faced so far as well. And sadly, there's probably a good portion of the fan base there that only know winning every week over the past. You know, they haven't experienced the cycles of football.
Oh, guess who's just texted me?
Is Ryan texting you, or you got a new sign in?
No, it was Josh Windass.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a good pal of mine. Texts me all the time. He was just giving me the heads up that Murray had gone somewhere, our old player. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but he's a great guy. So, but look, I don't think.
I'm glad that he got himself a move as well because of everything going on at Sheffield's Wednesday.
Oh no, he's such a terrific guy. You know, I talk to him all the time. He's always very supportive, and he was telling me about the different moves in the summer he had on offer, and what he's getting paid, and fair play. You know what I mean? He's going to have a good couple of years. I know he's out with his hammy at the moment, but he's a great guy. I was talking about he's gone into coaching or be a technical director when he finishes playing football. So, but yeah, anyway, who else in the champ? Who else?
Let's have a look.
Middlesbrough have had a great start.
Stoke and Middlesbrough started unbeaten. Preston, couple of wins.
Fair play to them.
Usually the opposite. They kind of start slow and then they're under pressure, and they figure out a way to turn it around. And Ipswich have had a slow start. 2 draws and a defeat so far.
Don't worry about that. That all that is once the window shuts, watch them go like a steam train. They'll win 9-10 games in a row. They some good business they've done again this week. I've told you, Ashton and co know what they're doing, and the manager knows what they're doing, and they will be. I still think Ipswich will win the league by a mile.
Yeah. Going into League One, and Cardiff are setting the Cardiff and Huddersfield setting the pace for sure. And I see mumblings at Luton of unhappiness again. Even 5 games in, they've won 3.
Jesus.
Give
the guy a break. Give the guy a break. Give the guy a break. You know what I mean? I mean, my God Almighty! Like, really, mumblings already? Oh my Jesus! What else?
Let's have a look at League Two. Crewe started strongest in League Two, so they've won 4 out of 5. Chesterfield and MK Dons being the top 3, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the top 3 come the end of the season, to be honest.
And condolences to the Chesterfield owner's family who passed away. God bless the rest of the soul.
Yesterday, didn't he?
That's terrible. Club in mourning over that. So I'm not surprised. How they're doing. They're a well-run club, good manager. Crew, love that. Academy based. You always love to see them doing well up there. Who's not started well in League Two?
So Shrewsbury have come down and Crawley both come down and started badly. Bottom is Cheltenham, lost all 5, but we're taken over finally today.
Ex-Burnley guys gone in, no?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, fair play. Obviously got a few quid. And they got the mighty Gary Johnson there, does their recruitment. So they've had a pretty bad start like we have to the season. So I would imagine, when an ownership's happening and it's taking a while, now that it's gone through, I'm sure they'll be fine, and I'm sure they'll sign players before the window closes.
And then we have, of course, to shout out to Morecambe in the National League.
My man, Lee Tomlin. Yeah, I was speaking to him during the week leading up to it, old Tomo. I still can't believe it. He's an assistant manager.
I was about to ask you, did you see Lee Tomlin as an assistant manager?
I did. Yeah. I know he's been coaching at Leicester. I know he was trying to come in and coach with us at one stage, but we didn't have the slots. He told me about 5 months ago he had an opportunity if a Morecambe takeover took over, he was going to basically, get an opportunity. I'm so happy for him, So sent him obviously congratulations, and lovely to see. I know Baz spoke to him a couple of times, and fair play to Morecambe.
And no surprise really for me that the first action of the Punjab Warriors consortium was to sack Derek Adams and bring in their own leadership team. I don't think it's a reflection necessarily on Derek Adams, but just new leadership has a vision. They've obviously been working on this for a number of months, waiting for it to happen.
It did surprise me because obviously they've hired a manager with no management experience. I know he's coached, so that did shock me a little bit, and I guess time will tell if that works out. Once it all dies down of the excitement of what happened on Saturday, we'll see if they hired the best person for the job.
Yeah,
because that's all it is in football. I know Sky and everyone's making their comments about first this, and I get tired of that. Like, first this player that's ever done this, first man, best person for the job. That's all I care about. So you know,
and as much as I've had my bugbears with Derek Adams over the years, I mean, you know,
he didn't. Yeah,
he's a good
he got the
person.
bad end.
He'll find another job.
Yeah, I mean that was rough on him because he stood there and stayed there and whatever else.
He paid people wages when they weren't getting paid.
Yeah, that was rough what happened to him. It's been lost in all the melee of the win. You know, the way he was, you could almost argue, treated.
Yeah.
And that's a manager who's won promotions, and that's a manager who's kind of stood through thick and thin. So if that had been the other way around and happened in another world, there'd be a lot more controversy over that. But let's see.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him being kind of the first manager drafted into a lower League Two team who's had a bad start to the season.
Yeah,
doesn't have a ton of resources and needs someone to come and get them into shape and
I don't disagree.
Sort them out.
Yeah, don't disagrey. Got any other talking points or any Q&As we need to deal with?
I just wanted, we missed this a couple of weeks ago, but Villarreal versus Barca in Miami, first La Liga game outside of Spain. And is this going to be a trend? Is this the kind of the test case that if it's successful will lead to other leagues wanting to do the same?
So I've argued this point many times, and people don't like my opinion on it about would the EFL do the same, and I've been okay with it. And I'll say it again. I'm a big NFL fan. I'm a big fan of what they do internationally. And the NFL, every TV deal they do is the biggest because they keep expanding their worldwide audience. They're playing games in Germany. They're playing games in Brazil. They're playing games in London, in Ireland. There was another European country added, Spain. Now, what that means is when you build fan bases in those countries, when TV deals are up for grabs, you get bigger TV deals. You get TV deals in areas that people never really was a market for you before. What that in line means is the money funnels back to the NFL, which means more money for the clubs, more money for the players, and better facilities for the fans. So if playing a game abroad leads to our fans having a better experience, better facilities, less clubs going out of business because now they're actually making more money, I'm all for it. Because I think you have to, instead of the short-term sensationalism about, my God, they're taking the game out of the country, how can they do this, blah, blah, blah. You have to peel back the layers, look at it from a business perspective, and go, is this what's good for business, and is it good long-term for the fans and the football club? So we don't get another Morecambe. So we don't have a Sheffield Wednesday. So we don't have all those problems we've seen, because the biggest challenge our clubs face in the EFL, and God bless Rick Parry and Trevor and all the people running the EFL, because they're limited in what they can do. The biggest challenge is enough money for everybody so they can pay their bills. And as long as clubs continue to lose 5 million plus in League One and 3 million plus in League Two and 20 million plus in the Championship, we're always going to have issues. And the way we stop those issues is by growing our game, by growing the interest in our game. And, they're sitting doing TV deals, and there's markets that have been untapped because we can't get games into those markets. But if we can, and we can create buzz in those markets, it helps. So before you go, can't do that, but just think about what I'm saying. It's good for business.
So should we be having Wrexham versus Birmingham
in
the Rose Bowl?
Yes.
Or in MetLife Stadium or wherever?
Yes. If it leads to Paramount, or as a peak, I think it's Paramount.
Yeah,
if it leads to Paramount Plus,
CBS.
CBS giving us an extra 50 million on a TV deal because of the interest from American viewers, that extra 50 million, that will go in the pockets of every club in the EFL.
Mm-hmm.
That helps.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, if we don't cap off what we're spending and be better there, there's no point in getting more money.
Because it'll just
go to one place.
Just lead to inflation
right.
Of wages.
But if we go down the NFL route where everyone shares in the success, and you tell your players as well, the better well-run we are, the better it is for you, the better media opportunities, the better financial incentives down the line. That's good for business.
Yeah.
So if the EFL turned around and said, hey, CBS want us to play a game, sign me up.
Yeah.
They might not want to watch Peterborough. I'm about to become an American citizen. My wife and children have got their American passports. Mm-hmm. So, I'm still waiting for mine for some reason. You know what I mean? It's like through the system. But at the end of the day, I could be known as an American owner now. So if they want to put the mighty Posh on and throw my mug in front of the TV to sell the EFL, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So
because the EFL's never been more visible in the States than it is right now.
Because of the Birmingham owner, because of Wrexham, because of Huddersfield, all the American owners now and pretty much in League One and those leagues, now's the time. The World Cup on the horizon. Hell, if South Africa suddenly had a taste for the EFL, it'd be the same thing. Like, we're limited in what we can do. you know, we're going around in circles with this, and clubs are constantly overspending and trouble and all of that. You know, the only way to get rid of that is create more wealth and more money. And the only way to do it, we can't keep, you know, Sky, you can push so far on every TV deal. But the international deals, they can only get better and bigger if more eyes are on, more interest is on. It's why the Premier League sells so well around the world. La Liga look at it and go, we need to be selling better around the world, because right now our TV deal internationally is nowhere near like the Premier League.
So as you're speaking, something that's coming to mind, and, you know, not necessarily a big fan of it, but it's created so much financial, you know, stability for the county championship teams is the 100. So it's like the creation of a tournament that, you know, could the EFL create some kind of tournament that's played in the US?
Yes.
That is something that then can be sold to US investors, which then increases the interest, gets money through US franchises of these EFL clubs, but that comes back to the parent or comes back to the league to split.
It's fixtures. It's difficult. It's like, if it wasn't a 9-hour flight, I'd suggest you have like an Anglo trophy like you used to do.
Like the Anglo-Italian.
So you would play maybe USL teams.
Yeah.
You know, and basically you would get 10 USL teams in there with 10 EFL teams or whatever else. And you would have like a round robin group stages with a final basically at the Rose Bowl or a final at Wembley the other year, and get the interest. The problem is the travel time. So it's when could you do that and how could you do that? But do I believe something like that would be brilliant for our business? 100%. Like I said, if any of our guys in the EFL who are running the EFL came to all the owners and said, hey, we need a game in the States, they count me as a fan, count me as somebody that would back them to the hill to make that happen.
So taking this one step further, then, it might be kind of controversial idea, but should we bring in another, you know, a League 3 to make each league have, let's say, 18 clubs or something like that, and then you're creating space in the fixtures to do something like that to bring more money in?
Potentially, I don't know. You know, I don't think we need another league. I think, you know, there's 72 of us, the clubs. There's got to be a way of doing it. You know, the top clubs get to play in Club World Cups. They get to play in Champions League. They get to play in all the domestic trophies. So there is a way to find it. I don't know. Do you start with a one-off tournament every summer or pre-season?
Yeah.
You know, do you pick the how many teams get promoted in each league? I can't remember.
So it's three
in the champ, 4, right? So there's 10, 11 teams. Do you pick the 11 teams that have had successful seasons, and you fly them out and play a mini tournament for like a week, and you know, we get the broadcaster to fund the cost and use it as a pre-season trip that's free for the successful teams, and then they play, you know, some MLS, some USL teams, and you have a tournament, you have it televised, and you do it that way, and you do it over the space of 2 weeks or whatever else, where every team plays 3-4 games, you know. So you could do something like that to start with. I just think the market is so big in the States, the appetite's there, so you make hay while the sun shines. So again, you know, people won't like it, the traditionalists will hate it, but I'm all about, if it can improve our clubs and help us, you know, and help us.
How can we get a cash injection into the game?
Yeah, reduce debt and spend money on facilities and make our tickets cheaper for our fans. I'm all for it.
Yeah. So I got one question to wrap up, which is from Craig, who is an Accrington Stanley supporter. Craig actually asked for a little bit of advice. He said, I'd love to get involved into scouting, but I'm not sure how to start. You know, any tips on kind of how to get onto the start of the ladder, so to speak, scouting for a professional team?
So you're not going to like the answer. The answer would be, you're going to have to offer your services for free. And then prove yourself. And when you become an asset, then they're going to want to pay you, or you're going to get a job elsewhere. I don't pay my young scouts a lot, but I always tell them they use it as an opportunity to put on their CV they work directly for me. And with the recruitment and the deals we've done over the years, that's a great reference point. And, you know, I have people all the time reaching out. I had one in Ireland reach out over the weekend saying, I want to do scouting in Ireland. I'll do it for free. You know, and I've given them to my main guy, Ben, who does my scouting and handles the guys who does the scouting. Yeah, and you know, that is the way to start. People, but I pay expenses, and I do give them something, you know, for the work they do. It's not enough, but you know, what I am really giving them is the experience, and I'm giving them an opportunity to work, you know, in the EFL. So anyone scouting out there, is start devising your report, start getting an idea on data, statistics, graphics, put something together, send it to every club, and tell every club that, you know, all you want them to do is organize a ticket for you and give you a list of players to go and watch, and you will do the first month for free. And after that, you know, if they like what you've done, is there an opportunity basically to work for the club in a part-time capacity? So clubs don't have a lot of money to be able to pay scouts, expenses, all of that. But if they find someone that's indispensable, guess what? They'll give them a role.
Is there a career in scouting? Like, is scouting a career, or is scouting a pathway to something else?
There's only a career in scouting if it leads to the Premier League.
Yeah.
Because a Premier League scout will be earning a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you're a lot more money than an EFL scout. So you're damn right there's a career. If that's the line you want to go, you get a job anywhere you can. You know, there's many technical directors that started putting out bibs and cones at football clubs, you know, who ended up running football clubs. There's many scouts who come from nowhere and they work within recruitment departments at Arsenal, Liverpool, all the big clubs. So there is a way in, but it's like everything else. It's going to be feast or famine, and it's going to be a lot of famine at the start of that career. And if you do it right and you're the best at what you do, you go on and earn a lot of money. If you're crap at what you do, you're still going to be pulling pints during the day.
How do you differentiate yourself as a scout when you've now got Y-Scout and Transfer Room and all these different tools that you're using?
Those tools are great, but the eyes don't tell lies. I don't sign players just off tools. Tools and data are great. It's becoming more difficult to sign players because everyone's playing the same game. But I still respect my scouts' eyes, and ultimately Barry Fry's final eyes are what I respect the most. So the eyes don't tell lies. So you can be as good as you want with all the data, the statistics, the modern day way of doing things. And this player runs 34 clicks. This player does 11K a game. This player has 82% pass possession. You know, all that stuff can get caught up. Yet, you know, I'll give you a classic example where data and statistics can muddy the waters. When I was doing the deal for the acronym boy, and I was dealing with his agents, and I got on really well with his agents, you know, they said, you know, we're really amazed, you know, Ben had a really great season last year, but we haven't had a lot of calls from clubs higher than, you know, League One. We're kind of expecting the champ. You know, he had 11 goals, he had 5 assists. I said, I'll tell you right now the reason. And he was like, what is it? And I said, his pass possession is 71%, his pass rate. And the bigger clubs look at that. They don't take into account the team he plays for, the style they might have. They would look at that and go, oh, he can score a goal, he can do whatever else, but he can't pass the ball. And we play passing football, high tempo, take the ball from centre backs. We can't have a 70%er in there. You know, Archie Collins' pass possession, I think, is like 91%. You know, a lot of that short passes or whatever, but he still rarely gives the ball away and you know, whatever. So, and his agent was like, oh, and it kind of like the penny had dropped that a lot of modern day recruitment teams in the Champ and everywhere else will have young analysts looking at statistics and put together, there's 4 players that we think we should look at, and would leave a player off without realizing, if you're a young analyst, that maybe Accrington are a bit more physical and a bit more direct and don't play the ball on the floor. You know, so sometimes styles outdo data. Does that make sense?
Do you find that there's that a lot of clubs will congregate around a player, like there'll be demand for a player only based on their stats?
Oh, absolutely.
When the stats may not actually relate to real world impact.
I've sold players like that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, eyes don't tell lies. You know, so, you know, with Ben, you know, obviously Woods at Accrington, you know, we'd looked at all the data and the stats. And the first report I got back at the bottom was, ignore the passing. After watching him, it's the way his team plays. If he was in Peterborough, he'd play differently, and he can pass the ball very well. And then we watched him another few times. I watched 2 of the games, Barry, everyone, and we knew, you know, okay, you know, he's nowhere near a 70% passer. And I've had some 70% passers historically in our team whose job it was just to kick and tackle and, you know, do whatever else. So don't always get caught up in the data. You know what I mean? And then data's great, but you need to know the character. You need to see the player, you know, in tough moments. You need to see all those other things that go with it. It's not just data. You know, that's football, but football's moving a certain way nowadays where there'll be clubs out there probably recruiting via AI. You know, everything's changing. And this is where it's becoming more and more difficult to get players and bring them in and prove them and sell them on, because some clubs are plucking them, not for their talent, based on data, throwing them in a 21 team, banging them out on loan. It's harvesting talent.
The whole harvesting we talked about, yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, I might have to become the harvester myself.
Well, I want to shout out as well for Ben Woods for his goal for Accrington against Walsall. That helped get us promoted as well.
There you go. There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Well, let's wrap up there. If you've got a question for Darragh, then please send them in to contact@hardtruthfootball.com. You can also follow us on X, on Instagram, and TikTok, which is always at Hard Truth. And you can watch every episode on YouTube as well. Just search for Hard Truth Podcast and subscribe. So as soon as we release an episode in audio, as long as it's not me that's doing the editing, we publish it on YouTube at the same time.
Stop using my clips as memes. That's
yeah, see, that's how you're going to get some virality. You talk about the chicken.
Anyway, Pete, thank you. Great week.
All right.
Let's move on.
All right. Talk to you all again next week. Thanks, everybody.